Hey Wings, how's it going? It's Focus of the Week time. And this week I want to actually share a personal story. And this one, just thinking about like how powerful our minds are and how powerful it is what we think and how that makes us feel. So my youngest just turned 13 and he was born with congenital heart disease. He actually has only 2 chambers of a 4-chamber heart. And when he was little, he went through a lot of different surgeries. We were never sure if he was going to be able to live a normal life or what his life was going to be like. But I do know from the very beginning, he's been a fighter. And fast forward, since he was about 8 years old, he's been playing travel baseball. His brother plays travel baseball, his sister plays softball, and we're definitely a sports family. So seeing him conquer that and be able to do that as a heart baby has been an amazing thing for us. About a year and a half ago, we were celebrating what we call his heartiversary, and he had the first episode. And that's what we're calling it because it's an unexplained heart episode. And what happens is his heart rate goes really high, and he starts to feel, he looks really pale, and there's no, at this point, they don't know what's causing it. So fast forward, we go through the last year and a half, and he continues. In the beginning, it was every couple months he was having a heart episode, and then at the beginning of this year, he started to have them a little bit more frequently. And in the month of February and March, he started to have them weekly. And, there were lots of different things that we were looking at that were triggers. In the beginning, it was heat. Most of the episodes were outdoors, physical activity, and heat induced. So we started, making sure that we were cooling him down and doing all of that. We've ordered, his cardiologist has ordered some additional tests and pulmonary stress tests and things like that, continued to try to figure out what was triggering these quote unquote episodes. And in late March, we started to talk about how he was feeling. He's entering, what we call puberty, and, the body's changing and he is changing. And I started to talk with him about emotions, which is probably the first conversation I've ever had with him about what his emotions mean and what that all entails inside his body. And we started to talk about anxiety. And I know as I look to this last year, even people who didn't necessarily suffer from anxiety are starting to have signs of that. And I would say even myself, as I look through this last year, things have really changed, and trying to figure out, which way to go with some of it and how it feels inside, and, not being able to answer all of those questions of why am I feeling this way. So I started to talk to him about what his body does with his emotions. And we started to talk about anxiety, but we also started talking about excitement. And I said, maybe your body doesn't know what excitement feels like. And maybe when you get anxious, or because he would say, Mom, I'm not anxious. It's not something that, we started to talk about what that emotion was. And he's like, I don't think that's what it feels like. So I said, well, maybe your body is showing this reaction to excitement, and maybe you can control it. And at the end of March, he had an episode. He was at a baseball practice, and he laid down on the ground, turned himself on his side, and did some breathing and started to bring it down. And within 5 minutes, he brought his heart rate down. And it was the first time that he saw he could handle it and he could bring it down. But it's really the thought process of like what the mind can do and how strong our mind is, but also kind of scary when you think about like if we let our mind take us down a road that is either doing negative self-talk or having self-doubt or not bringing yourself up. This is why when people say affirmations work, this is why they work, because what we say to ourselves matters. And I'm happy to say that Connor hasn't had another episode since the end of March, and he's been in the main swing of baseball season right now. And that's not to say that he's not ever going to have one, and certainly we continue to monitor his heart and monitor him. But I can say he's feeling very good about his ability to handle his emotions. And as a 13-year-old boy, I think that's pretty amazing. So I wanted to share that story as something that we don't always think about, and we don't give enough credit to what our mind can do. And I know we've talked about it a couple times, but really what you say to yourself, how you think about yourself, how you love yourself is the most important thing in the whole world. And that little boy has shown me that time and time again. So super proud of him, and wanted to just share that story with you for the focus of the week. Be easy on yourself. Make sure that you're letting yourself know that you love yourself and making yourself proud. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll check in with you guys next week. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. For all the graduates out there, I have one in my house. Happy graduation, and love to see that we're getting back to a little bit of normal. Looking forward to having my family around me this weekend as we celebrate my daughter. So thank you, Wings. Thanks for everything you are, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.